Welcome back to Cardinal Territory. You're watching this on Friday, May 16th, right before the Cardinals kick off a 3-game interleague series against the Kansas City Royals. And here to talk to me or with me about these Red Hot Cardinals is someone who has been instrumental in the team's success so far this season, Stephen Matz. Welcome to the show. I'm thrilled to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, nice time to be a Cardinal right now. Feel like you guys have been playing some really good baseball. One of the best teams in the major since the start of May, just coming off a big series win against Philadelphia. What is the overall vibe in the clubhouse right now?
The overall vibe is really good. I think actually it even started in spring training. I think we all left spring training and we all were kind of looking and talking to each other and like, wow, that was a really enjoyable 2 months. And I felt like it was the same sentiment around the clubhouse, whether I was talking to the trainers, whoever it was, the players, everyone's like, that was my most fun spring training ever had. So I think we kind of set the tone early there and we enjoy each other. It's a great clubhouse and it's cool to have success with them.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone describe the last two or the 2 months of spring training as being enjoyable. But I did hear just from a bunch of veterans on the clubhouse that it was a very laid back camp. And that is what you want, right? Especially when you're coming into spring, the next 6 months are going to be crazy and hectic. It seemed like the vibe was show up, get your work done, and we are going to handle the rest, we being the coaching staff. How does that benefit a club just in general?
I think it benefits a lot. There's just a looseness to everybody. Everybody can just know that they can come in and work hard and take care of their business, and everybody's going to be pulling on their end of the rope. And so I think that definitely set the tone. It was good, and it shows.
So in Philly, I felt like game two was probably the most impressive or important win for you guys so far this season. And I think Cardinals fans in general, and maybe people who haven't been with the team from a media perspective every day, are going to look at May and think, what changed between the Cardinals in May and what the Cardinals were doing in April? And Ollie Marmol says this a lot, that the style of play hasn't changed from you guys, that just the results have changed. And I've seen, almost every single one of your games so far this year, and I would agree. But for those who maybe aren't watching the Cardinals every day, or for fans who, don't have the luxury that we do of seeing the inner workings of the clubhouse, what does Ollie mean by that?
I think the best way to sum it up is I think you hear it a lot in sports nowadays. It's kind of a buzzword. It's just really focus on the process. I think that's really what it comes down to, as cliche as it sounds nowadays. But I think everybody was just focused on their process, and trusted the body of work that they were putting in and that everyone put into spring training. You look at Mason Wynn, for example, he came in and he didn't have the spring he wanted to have, but he was focused on his work and he stayed at it. And now look at him. I mean, he's one of our best hitters in our lineup. So I think that's just a small example, but I think kind of everybody did the same. Pitchers got off to a little bit of a slower start than we were hoping, but now, guys like Fetty throwing complete game shutouts, and they were just kind of stayed after it and didn't panic by the results we weren't wanting to get at first.
So let's talk about the rotation a little bit, because you've been in this hybrid role pretty much since the day the team broke camp. And it can be really difficult to balance being a spot starter, a long reliever, a reliever in short stints. But it's something that, whether you're talking to Dusty Blake or Ollie himself or even you, a role that you embraced and a role that you've excelled in. Miles Michaelis, after the series sweep in Washington, made the argument that you could be the most valuable pitcher on the staff right now because of the versatility in your role and how effective you've been. It's not easy to do what the Cardinals have asked you to do. You're in the final year of a 4-year contract. Your future, a lot of guys in the final year before being a free agent will focus on trying to maximize their performance because your future does matter here. And you would have every right to have said, yeah, I don't want to accept this role, or I want to start every 5 days because that's where the most value is. But instead you said, whatever you guys need me to do, I'm going to do. Why was that your reaction?
I think it was just the right point in my career to do this. I think as a younger player, I don't think I would have as handled it as well, but I think I've been around, I've seen a lot now, and an expiring contract like mine last year, I think I just had a kind of a different appreciation for just kind of playing in the major leagues to kind of reflect back a little bit. And so at this point, I'm like, whatever they tell me to do, I'm just gonna do it to my best ability and enjoy it. And it's kind of been paying dividends, that mindset for me.
When you think about balancing the role that you have right now, you're in shorter relief stints. The Cardinals have been so intentional about using a semi 6-man rotation, but really because they want to keep everyone on a 6 days rest instead of the traditional 5 days rest. It's really been beneficial to these guys. When you think about how you're balancing it, though, how does that work for you?
Yes. Hold on one
Also, where are
second,
you
Kate.
going?
Somebody just knocked on my door. They're delivering the cribs.
Oh my God.
Hello. Can you edit this part?
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
No. Thank
This
you.
is like behind the scenes, big league stuff.
For the family to visit.
Yep.
Supposed to have two, only have one. All right, we'll continue.
Okay, well, what's fine. Look, people think that the big leagues are glamorous, but really not.
um, okay, what was the question now?
How have you balanced the hybrid role, just in
Oh,
general?
yeah, it's been a little bit of a learning curve, I think, as I go. I think being okay with trusting the fact that I don't have to have the perfect routine to pitch well. I think that's what I learned this year, and I'm really embracing that. Is I'm kind of enjoying just staying engaged in the game. I've talked about that a little bit. Like, today I could be throwing 4 innings, I could be throwing the 12th inning, I could be starting in a couple weeks, and so just kind of being prepared for everything. I think it's kind of opened my mind a little bit to where sometimes you could be pretty rigid, especially as a starting pitcher, to your routine and the things you need to do to get out. And I'm learning, at this point in my career, I can do that in any role.
You have established your career, and it's not easy for any player to do this. But when you think about what the Cardinals are doing in this transition season and presenting opportunities for the next future core of this club, they really didn't want to put Matthew Liberatore or mainly Libby, but take your pick of any of the younger pitchers in a spot such as this, because they'd asked them to do it so many years before and it hadn't really panned out. What are some of the difficulties that younger pitchers would have to face and adjust to in this hybrid role, especially as they start to try to establish their own careers?
Mhm. Yeah, well, I mean, Michael McGreevy, he's done a pretty good job with it. Every time he comes in, he just dominates. So he's kind of the outlier to say. But I think just I can speak from personal experience. I think I needed the reps. I needed the ability to know and trust my stuff that I can get out and be able to throw my bullpens. Um, in between my starts and be able to work on things and get my proper rest when I need it and everything. So that stuff was really important for me as a younger player. As I was establishing myself. So um, I'm glad that I got to the point where I can do this, and I'm glad that Libby's really succeeding in being a starter, and it's been fun to watch him succeed.
What have you seen from Libby? I mean, both him and Andre. Spoiler alert: they're going to be on the show soon. For you Cardinals fans who are asking for players, I'm trying my best. But from Libby, it just seems like he has taken this opportunity and really just gone with it. And he seems to get better with each start. I thought that start against Philly, even though that was his shortest non-rain delay start, was one of his more impressive ones, given just where they were playing, the Phillies lineup, and how he handled himself. When you look and see where you were in your early parts of your career compared to Libby, what do you see?
I see someone who really is convicted in this stuff. I think it started last year in the bullpen. You saw it. He wanted the ball every day. I think being out there last year for a month with him, you can tell this guy, he wanted to pitch. And I think that's a really good starting point. Early in your career, you can doubt yourself. You can kind of have, hesitation going into those big lineups like Philadelphia has. And I think we all saw that in him last year, and obviously the team did as well with the plans of him starting this year. Is just, the conviction he has and the belief he has in his stuff. And when you watch his bullpens, you're like, wow, this guy's incredible, up close and everything. And so I think the conviction and the belief he has in his stuff is really showing now as he's starting.
Well, we'll get into a lot more about your teammates. One of my favorite things in having players on the show is that we get to kind of do a behind the scenes look at the clubhouse. So I'm going to grill you on your teammates. But before we get there, we've got to do our first sponsorship of the show. Let's hear it from HelloFresh.
Hey, FT fam. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit, Cam, because we're busy and we would like all of the ingredients to cook up something nice and make us look like elite chefs at home.
You know what I do? I've got kids in basketball, I've got soccer, I've got baseball. And when they get home, there's a fresh meal and they think, "Oh, Dad, he's so great." Well, no, it's not me. It's HelloFresh. It's nutritious. It's packed full of good nutrients. The kids have good energy, and they look at me like I'm the greatest dad in the world. So make sure you go grab that HelloFresh because you know what? It's doing my family all the good.
Cook up dishes like chicken Dijon and pecan crusted trout, over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats as well. Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life. One per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
All right. You've had the ability to be both in the rotation and in the bullpen. Which group is more fun? And don't lie. Don't do the, oh, they're both fun. You have to pick one.
It's hard to match Miles' funness, and Andre, he brings a pretty uniqueness to it. But I mean, I think I'm gotta go with the bullpen because the camaraderie we have there right now is pretty solid. I know once I'm back in the rotation, I'll probably change my sentiment, but I'm there right now, so that's what we're going with.
I thought for sure you'd say rotation because of those two guys. We've had Miles on the show in April, and I was asking him about the different personalities of the rotation. And it just seems like everyone is so different, and that's what makes it fun. What is it about? I mean, you and Miles I think, are very close, very similar career paths in terms of, what you've accomplished. What is it about your relationship with Miles that you really enjoy?
I think Miles is he's a one of a kind type of person. He's so unique, and he's unapologetically who he is, and so I do appreciate that about him. I like quirky personalities, and so Miles definitely has that, and so it's always an enjoyable conversation when you are sitting in the dugout just talking about who knows what.
What do you guys talk about in the dugout? Because I mean, I feel like as a starter, you're reading swings, you're looking at how you would attack hitters, sequencing that's working. Especially, if you're watching Libby, very similar because you guys are both left-handed. But you can't be doing that all the time. What goes on really down there?
No, well, down the bullpen, it's a whole different deal. We are definitely a lot more engaged, I would say, in the game during the bullpen because we're calculating whether who's going in, I'm going in, what hitter's coming up, what my lane is. So the bullpen is definitely a different conversation. But the first few innings we're definitely goofing off a little bit. Then you kind of feel everybody start to just get a little bit more focused as we're trying to figure out who's going in and what's happening with the game. But in the dugout, I mean, gosh, it could go anything from what's your favorite, Christmas dinner to what's your favorite movie to, it goes all over the place. So, there's a lot of downtime as a starting pitcher, which is good, but definitely leads to some pretty wild conversations sometimes.
Yeah, given that you're working with Miles and Andre specifically, I can imagine. All right, who's the most unserious reliever in the bullpen?
Unserious. Let's see. Wow, that's a tough one.
Is it because there's so many unserious people?
No, probably because everybody's pretty serious down there. But I mean, we joke around a lot. Who am I thinking of? Maybe wow, that's a tough one. I don't know. I would say sneaky is Kale. Kale, he likes to joke. He's very quiet, very serious, but he likes to joke. He's kind of sneaky.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
I'm starting to try with the young guys. I really try to encourage, like, hey, it's not scary. I know there's a camera in your face and a bunch of microphones and people just like slamming you with questions, but like it's not that hard. And I think Kyle did his best post-game interview when he saved, his 2 1/3 innings on Monday against the Phillies. The camera went off and he was just talking to the writers and like a whole new personality came in. I was very proud.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have guessed that. This is good inside stuff. This is why people subscribe to the podcast. Kyle Lane, personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I'm not supposed to disclose this information, but the rumor around the club is that you might be the best overall athlete. And I've been told this a couple times, and I've been told, don't tell him because it'll go to his head. So I'm not going to say who said it, but just know that there's a rumor going around.
Okay.
Would you agree with that sentiment? All around
Best overall. No, I don't agree.
Okay. Who's your top 3?
I mean, you got Mason Wynn.
Okay.
He's top. Probably Lars Nootbaar because apparently he was Jury's out, but apparently he was a good quarterback.
Okay.
So if you can do two, if you can play two college sports, you got to be in the top. Mason's obviously got all the tools to be athletic, and then we got Lars, we got him, and then going around. I mean, Vic's really fast. I don't know. Well, I gotta go Kyle Leahy because he set a state. He came in like third state's high jump, so he's a two-sport athlete too.
What?
I was not a two-sport athlete, so
Wow. Maybe I'll just
Yep.
add. Oh, I actually think he would hate the idea of a podcast, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep working on. I'm gonna keep media training him because
Yep.
he's an interesting guy from your perspective.
He's a high jumper,
Okay. Wow.
two-sport athlete.
Do you think you are the best overall? Like, if the National League was still the National League, are you the pitcher most likely to homer still?
On our team?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely
That's
say
how
that. I mean, Miles has more power, but I mean, I got the contact.
You got the contact.
Yeah.
There was a time where Mason's back tightened up, and I thought we were gonna have to see Palante taking a bat, and I was really excited about it. But Ollie said he was gonna do his best to ensure that never happened. But that was boring. Give people what they want. But we did see Pedro at second base, which I think is a good runner-up. So
yeah, that was a good runner-up.
It's good. A running joke on this podcast is we make fun of Pedro for his golfing abilities. And here's the thing: I don't think he's a bad golfer. I just think his teammates only post his horrific shots, and like Lars always posts that. The Cardinals themselves. How are you going to get played by your own social media team? Yeah. So poor Pedro is probably a better golfer than advertised, but not on this show. We feed into the narrative. But you golf, a ton of you guys do. If you had to pick your ideal 4-person scramble, so I guess 3 other people because you'd be in it, who would they be? And they have to be just teammates.
I would like to golf with John King.
Okay.
It's got to be full bullpen right now, just because those are my guys out there. Bullpen. I'm going John King. I would like to see Gordon Graceffo out there. I feel like that would be good humor, and Kyle Leahy. That'd be a good foursome.
That's a good group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are you like a strategy guy when you're making your scramble? Like, I would want someone that has the long drive. I would like a good short game approach, someone that can putt because I'm trying to win. Going for vibes, I guess that's a good one.
Well, I'm actually really not a golfer, really.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. I've golfed once. I golf like once every other year, pretty much.
Okay, well, like, what's your strength?
My strength is I do have one driver, so that's my only club I own. And
that's all you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, I do have a good drive. I have a good drive. That's about it, though.
Okay, so when people are scouting for their scramble, they can just mark you down as the one.
Yeah, every 5th drive, I'll hit it really far and really straight. Other than that, probably not using my shots. Yeah.
That'll play. That'll definitely play.
Yeah.
What do you like? I feel like in the bullpen, walk me through how it's your, like, I know they call Dusty calls or Scouse calls. How do you know when it's your time and what's your routine?
So I always try to, like, around the 4th, 5th inning, but depending on the pitch count, I just start moving around, and I don't like just sitting cold and then throwing. Obviously nobody does, but like those first few throws I feel like are crucial. So I like to kind of after the 4th or 5th, just kind of keep it slowly going, maybe do a little weighted balls. Maybe I'll even do like some dry, go through my motion with the ball in my hand and throw, just not throw, but go through my motion with it and just kind of keep it going a little bit. So that's pretty much it though. And then get ready pretty quick from there.
I think I'd be the worst reliever because I would be just messing around the whole time. Talk about unserious. I really have to lock in when I go in the clubhouse, but as soon as I leave, just a mess. And I would be the one that was like sitting there just hanging out, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, they need you in the game." I'm like, "Oh."
That did happen to me. That happened to me one time.
This year?
Actually, it happened to me twice. No, just once. Okay, but yeah, but I didn't end up going in, so it was good. But I was about to.
That's good. I would be so scared. But maybe you just perform under pressure, right?
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Last thing about your team before our second ad break. So for those of you who aren't familiar with terms like this, I feel like the Cardinals are a good PFP team, PFP, pitching fielding practice. And a lot of times when you see a pitcher, this is just the way of the game. Go out and field the ground ball and throw to first. Like you're clenching, you're a little worried. You're like, is this ball going to sail into right field? What's going on? But with you guys, I'm so confident in this group. It's a very athletic pitching staff. Who is the best PFP?
The best fielder?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna have to go with he's got enough innings this year where I can give him credit. McGreevy.
Wow.
Because he was like a shortstop. Was he a shortstop in college or something like that? And he's a really good fielder. So I gotta give him that credit. I think Sonny's maybe close, but Sonny might have almost won a Gold Glove a few years ago or something like that. But I think I'm going with McGreevy. He looks pretty. And his throws. It's hard to throw as a pitcher because you get the angle and you're so mechanical and you're just throwing it pretty much hard as you can every time, and then just pump the brakes like that going to first is kind of a hard deal for a lot of people. McGreevy makes it look easy. So
I would have gone Sonny, but I wasn't thinking about, outside of the 5 or 6 right now. McGreevy's a sneaky good pick. He's an athlete. He's also a super good golfer. It's annoying. How are you so good at so many things? All right, we'll get into our last segment. A quick message, however, first from Arena Club.
Hey, for the card collectors out there, you need to know about Arena Club. You can check out our showrooms. We've all got cards in there. You can buy, you can sell, you can trade, and you can rip packs. They're called slab packs, Kratz. And then what happens if you don't like what you pulled?
You get an instant offer. But before you get that instant offer, you can show your showroom around, kind of like when I used to put the cards in the sleeves and my buddies would come over and show them. Now, bang, show them on the phone. Instant offers right there if I need it.
Yep, that instant offer is for the estimated fair market value. Accept it on the spot. Acquire the best value for your money with slab packs, transparent checklists, and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, grading, or ripping packs, Arena Club is the safest, most trusted in the game. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL.
All right, Steven, I know it's been a minute since the Cardinals have played such good baseball, but I, for one, am really enjoying it. I think it's just an all-around super fun time to be back in with the club. And I know some fans are a little skeptical. Some fans are back in. What's your message to fans who might be on the fence right now on if this streak is legit?
You can't fake it in the major leagues. I think that's the bottom line. I mean, this is a tough league. We beat the Phillies 2 series. Beat the Mets in a series, beat Atlanta in the series. Or no, we didn't beat Atlanta in the series. But we played some really good baseball. Yeah, we didn't beat Atlanta. But no, we played some good teams. We're winning good quality games. We're scoring a lot of runs, and we're pitching well. So I don't think it's like I said, you can't fake it in this league. It's too tough of a league to fake it. It's just about being consistent, and hopefully we can show that down the stretch.
What are you enjoying the most about just being on the team this year, and what are you liking?
Well, obviously, when you're winning, everything is more fun, and so it's been great. But I think like just what we talked about earlier is just the camaraderie we have. There's guys are playing loose. It's a good group of guys. I think sometimes when you go through tough times together, essentially this is the same team as last year for the most part. Few changes, but I think there's something that you kind of learn together, you grow together, and now to experience some success, I think it makes it even more enjoyable.
Last question. When you look ahead before what should be another exciting series, what gives you confidence that this is going to continue, and what do you really like about the club?
Yeah, so I think every night a different guy is playing a huge role in the win. Like, last night, it was, Mason getting 4 hits with a homer. A few nights ago, it was Wilson with a couple big hits. A few games before that, Eric Fetty throwing a complete game shutout. Kyle he come out of the pen and throwing, 3 innings of shutdown baseball. And so I think that's what's really, it's not one guy carrying the team. When he cools off, we're in trouble. It's everybody stepping up, different night and big moments to give us the win.
Agreed. It's made for some really fun baseball, and I, for one, hope it continues. So we will see. Again, the Cardinals 3 games in Kansas City before they return to Busch Stadium for 3 against the Detroit and 3 against the Diamondbacks. Steven Matz should be all over it, as he has been all season. Steven, thank you so much for joining the show. I appreciate it.
All righty. Thanks, Katie.
All right, Cardinal Territory, we're back with you at the end of the weekend. As always, thanks for watching. For Steven, I'm Katie Wu. Talk to you later.